Howdy everybody, how y'all doing? And welcome to the Ice House, where we try to keep things cool, calm, collected, and mostly a bit chill. Well, as you all know, I'm a pretty big fan of alliterations, right? You know, we've got the friendly neighborhood puppet penguin sheriff, and now with all the positivity going on, and I'm the friendly neighborhood positive puppet penguin sheriff, right? So, you know, kind of in line with that whole theme we're going with, today will be no exception, because today I want to talk about, well, the value of a positively intentional pause, right? Right? And I'm not talking about, like, bear claws or, you know, the snowshoes that, like, the big old huskies and, you know, dogs have when, you know, I'm talking about that little bit of space, that little bit of air, you know, maybe it's the breath, the saying like another time, just to allow the brain to catch up with, well, everything it's just been, you know, all the stimulus that it's just been given, and well, it always takes a second for the mind and the body and the emotions and everything to catch up, to be able to, instead of just react, you know, to respond, right? Because, and don't get me wrong, I do like a little battle of wits, you know, quiplashing back and forth sort of thing, and, you know, having a nice retort at times. But, you know, the truth is, not everybody, we don't really all live in an episode of the Gilmore Girls, so, you know, trying to keep up with that for too long gets pretty exhausting, and eventually it does not pan out very well. So, I mean, you know what I mean, you know, just kind of, without somebody writing the dialogue, we only hold up so well. So, like I said, in conversation, the just that extra second, you know, just to catch up, I think is really, really important. Now, if you guys are over dramatic like me, then, well, you probably also enjoy the pregnant pause, right? A little bit longer, a little bit open space, a little bit more, well, maybe tension in the air, just letting it linger. But I do like the term pregnant pause because sometimes just that extra second allows the brain to conceive, birth a new idea based on all the things processing inside, plus all the things that, you know, all the stimulus that has just been given to it, and allow it to all that to mull around and interact to create a new idea, which then, well, instead of just responding, reacting, and pushing back on somebody, allows the conversation to move forward, right? And then, you know, new ideas that may or may not have, well, been connected before, right? You know, certain overlaps or correlations that, well, if you were so quick to jump to a response, you might not have been able to see clearly. You know, I think there's a lot of value in that, because, I mean, I guess the biggest question is, like, when I talk to people, right, I like the idea of creating something or having the witty banter, or in the back of my mind trying to come up with new creative ideas, or there's always this kind of thing of like, oh, how would this work in a sketch or an idea or a song or some sort of, always in the back of my mind, taking real life and trying to apply it to that creative structure, so that when I get here in the studio, I have something to reply to, respond to, hopefully I've had enough time to mull around all these ideas that I can offer something of intelligent banter and maybe helpful and inspirational ideas, Like I said, I do my best, right? So, I just think that the importance of the open space, the pause, the lack of stimulus for a moment is very important. I mean, we could talk about how media and entertainment has ramped up the ADD overstimulus, basically there's no open space anymore, right? Everything has to be jam-packed, everything has to be, this to this to this to this to this. And it's almost like sometimes with the pacing of things and the overstimulus, it's almost like you wonder if you're being onslaughted to be duped or to, maybe they're trying to convince you of something, and the faster the information gets to you, the less time you have to react and respond, and it's easier to follow the concepts laid out because you don't have time to really think and process for yourself, right? I mean, we can also go back to the films of the 80s and 90s where we used to just have just those open shots of, maybe a plane flying over the city, or maybe just a scenic skyline view after a poignant conversation that, it needed room for a little mulling over before the next movement in the story, right? Because the writers knew that the audience was smart enough to understand what was happening only if they were given the time to, connect the dots in a way, being led to it but not shown it. And I think that's just, that's an art that I think has gotten lost, right? I don't need to be the first to say something if what I have to say really doesn't help the conversation, or, if it's just me just trying to put something out there just to check off a box that I interacted, a participation grade, I think, that's kind of silly when sometimes there are things I just don't have things to say about because they're not my area of expertise, or I don't necessarily need to inject myself into a conversation where I don't necessarily belong yet, right? So, that's just more going into the still and quietness and not adding to the noise, which is kind of a different thing, but definitely connected. So, yeah. Well, I really think that's pretty much all I had to say, right? Not too crazy of a concept, but just a challenge to add a little bit of pause in your day, in your conversations, to allow your emotions and your brain to catch up, to give yourself a chance to respond to what's really happening, not just the words that come out of somebody's mouth, right? Because sometimes, in the heat of the moment, we're all trying to figure out how to communicate, and sometimes we don't say the right things, and sometimes that pause keeps things from escalating or getting out of hand. Not necessarily in a negative way, but just keeps the misunderstandings a little bit more of a minimum. Like damage control or crowd control. Because even if it's not a negative situation, I still want to communicate well with my friends and the people around me, because in truth, we all just want to be understood, right? Heard, understood. So that's what I'm trying to do. Well, like I said, that's pretty much all I got. So if you have any thoughts, put them down in the comments below. And like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. We'll see you next time. Alright, take care everybody. Bye.